Hello, welcome to the Round 18 review. After the Blues, mate, get the job done at Marvel Stadium. 18 goals, 14, 122 to 10 goals, 12, 72. Marvel Stadium rocking. Lid rocking. I don't know where the lids are at. They're scattered around Docklands. They're scattered around Australia. They're scattered around the world. That was special. It had bits about it that reminded me of Sydney 2022, and I think that last night will forever be remembered for the next little bit as, Port Adelaide 2023. It's one of those ones. It's been a while since we saw it. It all came together. The narrative around us in this game was that, we hadn't beaten anyone of note. But it depends whose narrative you're listening to. So I'm getting sucked into it. But it depends whose narrative you're getting sucked into. The only narrative that really matters is the Carlton narrative. And that is, we just beat up on Port Adelaide. A top 4 side, a top 2 side, genuine premiership contender. A team coming off 13 straight wins. They had quite a few outs, had quite a few ins, and we comprehensively got the job done. And that was special. Oh my God. Scenes were predicted and scenes were had. And those are the special games that we have been waiting for. Those are the special games that we saw glimpses of last year. And the hope is that we found a little something, or we found it again, and we can carry this momentum and have a run at this year. It's not over yet. I went there to Marvel Stadium yesterday, full of juice, full of beans, full of energy, ready to see what it really looked like against a quality opposition. And I left Marvel Stadium thinking it stacks up. And that is a huge confidence boost for me as a fan, and I think for the players as well. And the beauty of the way in which we did it last night was one in which I have not seen this group do ever. It was so evenly spread out. There were so many different contributors. There weren't many high 30, 32, 34 possession getters. It was very evenly spread out. There was a real commitment to working for each other. There was a real commitment to not focusing on the individual stat line. And there was a real obsession with doing it the hard way. And Port are great at the contest. They're fierce, they're ferocious. We are probably emulating them. They've had a few more years on us to emulate this type of game style. They've been using that overlap run for a while. And they play with that real burst and that real power from stoppage. And they brought it to us. And, the scoreline will say we won by 50 points, but they were pretty good, Port Adelaide. They were pretty impressive. It all started in the first quarter. Sam Walsh forces a turnover, which just set the tone for what I was about to see early in the game. Charlie, beautiful kick to Harry, who missed. I thought we were all over them early in the game, just didn't convert our chances. And it's so funny. It's so funny when you try and draw conclusions from every moment and you just got to let the game play out. And I was already thinking, there's 4 behinds. Is that going to come back and bite us? But eventually we started getting on the scoreboard, started getting that reward. Jack Silvani kicks 2 straight goals, and then it starts going from there. The crowd start getting into the game. Harry goes down the race, hurts himself. That was obviously not ideal. At the time of filming this, I don't know exactly what the diagnosis is, but it seems like it's a knee. And so, he was pretty dejected on the bench. We were brave. Charlie Curnow used the corridor. Pretty sure he hit Chera. Handball overlap run to Kemp. Kick to Motlop. Strong mark. Kicked a goal. That was the other thing as well. Jesse Motlop, got to give him a shout out. I think it was 10 minutes before the game started. Matt always was a late out, and he just came in and he was ready. He kicks 4 first half goals and, just gets himself going and provides more than a spark. I don't usually expect many people to kick 4 goals, let alone our small forwards. So that was great. Second quarter, we probably get to halfway through it, and then I realize, oh my God, like we are rocking. We are in sync. Port Adelaide challenged. They kept coming at us, and we just had it. We just had what it took to not only withstand Port Adelaide, but to go again on our own level. Quite a few key moments, I thought, from Tom De Koning in that second quarter, whether they were big ruck contests or smothers or tackles or blocks. He looked to be much more of a force in the game, but particularly in this second quarter. And there was that moment where he applied the pressure on Xavier Dersma, just enough for him to have an errant kick. So we get to halftime, fully in control, and then, pretty excited, and the hope is that we just emulated and finished the game off. I always had that feeling that Port Adelaide would come and make a game of it. To be honest, I was thinking it's probably going to be like a 1-kick game, a 2-kick game, very similar to when we played them last year, because they are such a good team, especially this year. Then we get into the third, Jack Silvani goal. There was a moment where he came off the field and like standing ovation, and there was that full circle moment. 4 weeks ago, you've got a fan screaming at him over the fence, saying some pretty deep things, and then all of a sudden, standing ovation from the fans. So that was good. I was sitting right behind the benches, so I've never been that close to the benches before. Actually, no. Sydney game last year, I was a little bit further back, right behind the benches, but last night I was like right there, so got to see all of that. Port kicked a few in a row, and there was the challenge. And I remember thinking, okay, it's 2, or maybe it was 3. It was 2 or 3 goals in a row. And I remember thinking, okay, this is that next test. Can we get one in response? And we always seem to find a way to do it. This time it was Patrick Cripps against the flow. Then Port kicked another 2 in a row. Then we get to the fourth quarter, and then it's party time. There was that, I think, one of the key moments of the game, which summarized a lot, and maybe it's a little unfair because there were so many of them, but the ball comes onto the wing. Charlie is attacking the ball, and he taps it perfectly to Jack Silvani, who goes over to Walsh, to Cunners, to Fogarty, who kicks the goal. And it just represented the entire game. It represented exactly how we played. Charlie didn't get the stat for it because it was a tap, and we were just efficient and we were clean with it. And oh, wow. Yes, I don't believe it. I actually don't believe it. I felt like we were capable of winning last night, no doubt. I think we're capable of winning every game. So I was really confident that we were able to win last night, but not like that. That was comprehensive. I mean, we got a bit of a percentage boost against Port Adelaide. So that is not something that I expected going into last night. And then it's deep, It got me thinking like, this is just like a round 18 game. Like, it's a regular season match, and such is the experience that I've had as a supporter, and a lot of us have had, who were born, from the 90s onwards, who don't really remember 95 or 99. Such is the experience that, like, that game right there is probably, for a lot of people, the best game they've ever watched. And that's awesome. And it got me thinking like, wow, like, we don't even know what's in store. I don't know what it's like to be playing regular finals. I experienced a little slither of it 2011 or 2009, 10, 11, and then obviously 13. But like, we aren't even playing in finals consistently yet. So it's all so new to me. And there's only a handful of games that I can remember that had the same feel as what that game had last night. So got me thinking like, well, like, what's going to happen when we get there? Like, the journey to getting there, it's happening. And I almost feel it difficult to really embrace it and really enjoy it, because I think been burnt in the past, not used to this. It's all very new. So is it real? I think it's real. I think they've certainly found confidence. I mean, we're talking comprehensive wins in our past 4 matches, like real powerful type wins. And I think one of the biggest challenges now is like, which narrative do you subscribe to? Which narrative do you get sucked into? Because it's very easy to get sucked into any narrative that gets put out there. So my hope is that the guys are rock solid with their focus, which it's funny. I didn't know what the 6-game losing streak was meant. What did it mean? But maybe it was a test of their resolve as a group. This group in particular, it was a real test of their ability to stay connected and stay together and stay united even when things weren't going their way. And, you know, we spoke about it on the fan cams last night. The effort has been there for the majority of the season, if not all of it. It's just the execution that had been letting them down. And then obviously something's happened. They've simplified things. They are defending for their lives. They are all committed. There's a buy-in. There's a collective buy-in. It doesn't look disjointed like what we were talking about against the Lions or against the Dogs or against the Bombers or against Melbourne. So it doesn't look like that, doesn't feel like that. And what is that? I don't know. I don't know because I'm on this side of the fence. I just know that it just looks more connected. One gripe, 34,000 people at the game last night. What the hell is that about? That is unacceptable, in my opinion. That is absolutely unacceptable. Now, I don't know what that is a case of. Is that because there were reserve seats that people have paid for that didn't show up? Did people just not believe? Like, what was that about? Why were there not at least 40,000 people there? Like, how did we only have 34,000 people at that match last night? Is that the realists staying home? Is that I saw it in round 1 when old mate didn't tackle him. I knew that they weren't buying in. Like, I knew it. Like, what is that? That's really wild to me. Didn't matter because it felt and sounded like 50,000 people, caged animals just roaring. It was so loud and electric. And anyway, get your asses to the damn games, man. Come on. What are we doing? What are we doing? We've been waiting so long for these boys to start performing like men and really turn it around. And then you get that performance last night. We have, 16,000 empty seats. So that was my one gripe from last night, where I was really surprised. I went there expecting it to be a full house. And even though it sounded like a full house, there were still many, many empty seats. So I don't know, maybe that was the game where the rest of the supporters needed to see to start believing. But 6 games left and we're in the hunt. That's what's happened right now. All the ladder predictors that we did, a lot of us didn't have us beating Port Adelaide, but they did it. They did it comprehensively, and I'm so happy. I'm so tired. I had like 3 hours sleep. I don't care. I'm running on fumes. I'm going to go watch the replay. I'm going to enjoy it for what it is, and you should as well. What about you? How did you experience that game last night? There was so many smiles, the kids, the families. There was so much happening last night. Everyone was so happy and hugging strangers. Oh, it was on. So how'd you experience that last night? Where'd you watch it? And share with us some of your observations about the game. And we'll chat about it in the comments. Have a good one. Go Blues. Go Blues.